How much is Brenda. I feel a little lonely.
My brother.
I just feel like we're gonna assume that I will go for no reason. Because I'm not living
Oh.
So, council, we can get started anytime at 6:08.
Awesome. It's never been the same for me. Someone's gonna call me. I'm ready. As studious as I am.
Yeah.
All right, the meeting will be called to order. Mr. Halinga, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wilcoxen,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Present.
Councilmember Somerville,
Present.
Mayor Richardson,
Present.
Councilmember Morgan, Councilmember Simmons,
Present.
Mr. Jones Chance,
Present.
with 6 present and 1 absence, there is a quorum.
I move to excuse Councilmember Morgan.
Support. It's been moved and supported to excuse Councilmember Morgan. All in favor? Opposed? Agenda approval. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Removal?
I move to approve the agenda as listed.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank God. Do we have anyone here for audience participation?
Council, there's no one in the, in person for public comment. If anyone on the attendees list, tuning in virtually would like to make comment, please raise your hand. You have 3 minutes to address council. Jeff Schroeder has raised their hand. I'll allow them to speak now. You'll have 3 minutes to address council. You'll need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me? You
Yes,
can,
we
okay, great. Yeah, I just wanted, I actually live in Ferndale, Michigan, and my wife saw a blurb yesterday about Cultivate shutting down, and I just want to let you know that about 3 or 4 years ago, she and I used to do, oh gosh, probably bi-monthly, we do a little day trip out to Ann Arbor just as our way to get away from the Detroit area. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we discovered Ypsilanti, and we love everything you've done with the town. It's got a great authenticity that, as much as we like Ann Arbor, seemed to kind of Ann Arbor seemed to be losing. And one of the great things that we found about your town was the Cultivate Coffee House, and it really, to us, was sort of the beating heart of everything that Ypsilanti has become over the last 5 years or so. It's just got a great community feel that like I said, not to detract from Ann Arbor, which we think is a great spot to visit and visit some restaurants and galleries and things, but Ypsi to us is sort of the kind of great feel that we like about Washtenaw County right now. And so we get out there, we hit your great little co-op. We really love Bowerbird Mongo, but we were really saddened to see that Cultivate was struggling. And one of the things we saw on their webpage is they were having some difficulties with zoning and regulations, whatnot, to keep areas open. And obviously, I don't know a lot about municipal governance, and you've got fire codes and safety concerns and other things. But I just want to say for my 2 cents that it's a spot that draws us to Ypsi, and we've brought other friends from the Ferndale Royal Oak there area. And one of the things they always love to do with us is go after we hit a restaurant, grab a coffee and play some board games and maybe have a beer at Cultivate. And it's something that's really a magnet for us. And again, not being terribly familiar with, day-to-day municipal functions. I know you've got your own, again, fire codes and things to adhere to, but we're just hoping that, between the city council and the other governing boards and bodies in Ypsi, really putting our 2 cents in to really hope folks can work out whatever obstacles need to be overcome to maybe help keep Cultivate in business and going, because like I said, we make a special trip out there really at least once or twice a month, and to be honest, I think Cultivate may be the anchor of the attractions that draw us there. So just putting our plug in to hope things can get worked out. I know everybody's got needs and concerns, but whatever can be done. We love Ypsi. We thought about moving there. I've got a business of about 10 people, just because how much I've enjoyed it over the last few years. And again, just putting my plug in to hope everybody can work things out.
Thank you.
Oh, it looks like I timed my comments perfectly for the 3 minutes, so I'll sign out now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Legacy.
Council, there's not currently another person under the attendees list that has their hand raised. I did see 2 individuals come in person. Would either of you like to make comment? You have 3 minutes to address council. No, would you like to address council? You can raise your hand and we can bring over a mic.
There.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Attorney Robin McCoy, and I am a candidate for state rep. And I'm here with my partner, Attorney Ed Taylor, and I was just coming in to say hello. I've been here before when I was previously president of the Van City Hamilton Bar Association. So hello, everyone.
Hello. Thank you for stopping in.
And council, that would do it for those with their hands raised for audience participation.
I thank you. And we will move on with presentation. And I do have a proclamation to read. Proclamation, Black History Month. Whereas Black History Month is a national effort to accord official recognition to the heritage of African Americans and the many contributions made to the development of America and the American way of life. Whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, along with 4 others, founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. And whereas Woodson desired greater impact due to the association, which led him to start a National Negro Week in February 1926. And whereas President Gerald R. Ford officially recognized Black History Month in 1976, calling upon the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by Black Americans and a time for recognizing the central role of African Americans in U.S. history, and whereas other countries around the world, including Canada and the United Kingdom, also devote a month to celebrating Black history. And now, therefore, I, Lois Allen Richardson, Mayor of the City of Ypsilanti, on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2022 as Black History Month in the City of Ypsilanti. And I urge all citizens to join me in extending recognition and honor during this month and throughout the year to African Americans for outstanding achievements and contributions to our nation. And please know that Black history is American history, given under the hand and seal of the City of Ypsilanti, February 1, 2022. Thank you. Are there any comments or anyone wants to?
That was very well put. Thank you. Black History Month is back.
Anyone else would like to have something to say? Sorry. Thank you for bringing that forward. Thank you. Okay, see no other hands. We will now have our vote session facilitated Dr. Mill.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's good to be here again. And today we're going to follow up with the second phase of our strategic goal setting. Last week we got together and it was an opportunity for council members and staff to introduce their goals. We asked you to focus on the top three. And as I was assembling that list of the top three, we still resulted in about 50 goals to review today. And so let me just first make sure everybody has a packet that we can talk through here. Okay. All right, so I just want to talk to you just a little bit before we get into the ratings. And if you can follow along with me with each page. I just wanted to show you conceptually, when we're thinking about forming goals, there are three areas that rose to consideration. These areas represent the functional interdependence of City Council and the stakeholders that you represent. So if you think about that, you have the community. Those are your actual stakeholders. That's who you serve and who elects you. You have the staff, that's yourself, and those are the members that are dedicated to the service of the community. And then you have the infrastructure. Those are the spaces that facilitate the interaction with the community and also with the staff. So when we think about strategic goal setting, really our goal is to find a balance between these three arenas so that you have a healthy functioning city government. The challenge, of course, is that we have limited resources. And when we think about strategic resources, all organizations, all collections of people have three primary resources that they're limited to: time, capacity, which is our energy and also human resources, and money. Okay. And so we have to factor these limitations into account when we think about strategic goal setting, and building consensus on goal priorities helps decision makers to allocate these scarce resources. So with that said, we're actually going to go through a process where we will allocate support for the goals that rose to the priority top. On the next pages, I'm going to go through each one, but your goal is to choose 15 that you would like to support. Now, there's about 50 listed there, so 15 is still going to be the challenge. And each person is going to have their own perception as to which goals they would like to prioritize. As you're doing so, consider the limitations of your strategic resources, time, capacity, and money, and consider how you might find balance between community, infrastructure, and staff. Okay. The reason why I asked for 15 is because 15 choices represents about 1/3 of all the goals presented. So council and staff are able to prioritize 1 out of every 3 goals that were presented. Okay, any questions before we get to ranking?
There's a hand here, Joe.
Yes, Joe.
Dr. Miller, are we ranking 1 to 15 or are we just putting check marks on 15?
Just check marks.
Thank you.
Thank you, good question. Yes, excellent. So check mark or a dot. There's a space for council to indicate their support. There's a space for staff to indicate their support. We like to keep it separate because it's interesting to look at any serious differences between council and staff, so you can at least be aware of those.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
Over here. Sorry, can you hear me okay?
yes.
So I know that obviously, like sometimes when we submitted our goals, there was overlap. For the purposes of this, I think things got like shortened, right? But when it comes all back together, the intent of the individual council members or staff that included Strickland, that'll come back to us?
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
that master sheet will come back to you. And in fact, when I read through each of these, I will include some of those
Okay,
tidbits.
the one that I'm most like looking at and concerned about is the crisis mental health intervention response team. It should like unarmed.
Okay,
I think in a few of ours it was unarmed, non-police.
okay, good clarification. So when we get to that item, let's make sure that we note that.
Thank you.
When we, just one more thing before I get started through here, in each area, community, infrastructure, and staff, it's further broken down into 2 kind of concepts, just to frame what you're thinking about. So in community, we break the goals down between connection and safety. For infrastructure, we break the goals down between buildings, which are specific buildings, and commons, which are common areas. And in staff, we break the goals down between development, which is a broad category that focuses on selection and retention. And then we also break it down into impact, which is the actual impact that staff members are making in their daily responsibilities. Okay. So as I read down each one, you can feel free to indicate your support. And if there's any clarifying questions, we can address those as well. So this is really alphabetical order in community and connection. So there's no priority goals listed here. We're just going to go through this. So number 1, revive COPAC and neighborhood associations. The intent there was to improve communications between citizens. The second goal is to increase county support for equitable resources to Ypsilanti, commensurate with its needs identified on the opportunity index. Third goal listed is to continue investment in cultural and community offerings and partnerships. The intent here is to enhance access for citizens to the arts, new experiences, community building, new innovation partnerships such as UMS and Freight House, support of holiday events such as Black History Month and Juneteenth Day, and summer programs and festivals. Next goal, identify ways to share community updates on boards and commissions and engagement opportunities. The intent is to allow a summary of details and current topics covered to increase engagement, filling all vacancies in organizations. Next, increase participation within the community for public meetings. There was discussion of a hybrid model, developing a list of community members interested in upcoming events, and increasing newsflash subscribers by 10% within the forthcoming year. Or some of the details associated with that goal. Next, ensure proper functioning of advisory bodies as determined by their enabling ordinance. Implement entrepreneurship courses at Park Ridge Community Center. The intent is to help young people develop skills and knowledge, build curriculum with partners like Spark East, Michigan Works, and WCC, schedule courses and promote the program in order to ensure robust participation. Okay, those were the connection goals for community. Now moving on to safety. Develop a crisis mental health intervention response team. The intent here is to explore partnership with county crisis team, EMU, and Ipsy Fire Department to keep the community safe with well-trained crisis professionals that can de-escalate situations without the presence of armed officers. Councilmember Somerville, did that capture?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Next, pursue a 50% reduction in violent crime. This also includes making comprehensive data available to council and report progress at each meeting.
We maybe change the language a little bit?
I didn't hear your last comment, I'm sorry.
Oh, the intent is to make comprehensive data available to council and report progress at each meeting. We're talking about item pursue a 50% reduction in violent crime.
Right, so, yeah, I can make that available. The Police Advisory Commission gets the crime statistics every month. I could pass it on to the council as well. It's already being done.
Excellent.
I would like to change the language a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe from pursue to achieve. I think we already pursue.
Hey, geez.
And then the next one, eliminating instead of reducing.
Maintain focus on eliminating the events. Okay, noted. For the gun violence, the note was through innovative programs, partnerships, and community investment. Also in safety, implement a community policing philosophy and to support the police department in these efforts. Explore return of neighborhood watch groups. And that wraps up our community safety goals. Okay, moving on to infrastructure with a focus on buildings. Engage in maintenance, specifically for the fire department building. Improve facilities. This is general maintenance and schedule upgrades. The intent is to create a regular maintenance schedule for each facility and create replacement schedules for critical facility equipment. Next goal is improve facilities energy efficiency. The intent is to review existing plans, look at hiring at an energy consultant to evaluate city facilities for efficiency and upgrades and solar installation and create an improvement schedule. Last one on buildings is leverage grant opportunities for building facade and rehabilitation. Moving on to commons. Open reinstate park bathrooms. Eliminate supply side barriers within city control. This references affordability. Identify barriers to affordability. The goal is anyone that can. The goal is to make it affordable for anyone to live in Ypsilanti. Seek methods and creative ways to provide density and affordable housing within the city of Ypsilanti. Reverse growth in parking deficits. The goal here is to reduce reliance on motorized vehicles and parking infrastructure and work with non-motorized committees to identify areas on possible immediate action. Develop stormwater management plan. Continue improvements with traffic calming and pedestrian safety, particularly in residential areas and business districts. Remove the Peninsular Dam with a focus on an engineering study. Details here include partially funding the second phase engineering study to determine settlement mediation plan, restoration plan, and structural analysis of infrastructure. Develop Water Street. Specifically summarize progress on Water Street development and letters of intent to the developer. Improve recycling, yard waste and trash. Specifically implement a CART program and evaluate biweekly collection schedule. Improve the roads, specifically complete planned projects. Also with improve the roads, the road pavement preservation program. Redevelop long-term vacant sites within the city, specifically Water Street, 220 North Park, and Angstrom. complete the sale of Riverside Arts Center and pay off remaining downtown bond with proceeds. And last, for infrastructure, identify additional parking opportunities in Depot Town. And the details include investing in developing those sites, completing the parking feasibility study, and deciding where to commit bonding capacity for the greatest benefit. Those are, yes.
Is that different than the item that was listed before regarding parking purposes?
Yeah,
More specific.
it's more specific as
Parking
Depot
purposes.
Town.
I have a
It just
question
seems-
about this.
Yeah.
Oh, that was me.
This- Oh.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Sorry, that last one was mine. I want to keep it really focused on Depot Town, the parking deficit, and finding additional capacity. I understand that non-motorized transportation and other solutions to the parking problem are outlined in the other similar goal. But I think this one is very hyper-focused on additional capacity as it relates to Depot Town.
Okay, any other questions on infrastructure?
Yeah, I think, I just wanted to be clear about the previous one. With reverse growth and parking deficits. And I just wanted to be clear that that was with attention to reducing motorized infrastructure.
So they were next to each other.
Exactly, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So that was your goal on the previous page.
Right.
Okay, this makes sense to me now. I wasn't sure if we were
And so reverse growth parking deficit by
Reducing reliance on motorized vehicles and parking infrastructure.
like.
Right.
Council, could everyone speak into the mics, like move a little bit closer to your mouth? People at home are having a hard time hearing. So try to speak into the mic, I appreciate it.
Is this better?
Not quite.
Oh, wow, it sounds really loud over here.
Use your outside voice.
Do you have a speaker right in front of you?
Sorry about that. I was just saying that, yeah, the previous one, reverse growth and parking deficits, was with attention to reducing motorized infrastructure. So I don't think the current one is more detailed. I think they're actually sort of in opposition.
Yes.
Clarification.
Sorry, sorry about that. I have another question before we move on, just, instead of, I was gonna wait till the end, but, I guess my question is, and I don't know, I could have missed this because I was late to the first meeting, but some of these goals, just for clarification, for me at least, some of them are already happening, right, or already going to happen. So I just want to be clear that we may be like checking off things that regardless if we check them or not, they're already in motion. Okay, so. Yeah, so, because I want to use my checks wisely.
Yeah.
If they're already happening.
Parking thing.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Last time.
We should make the two people.
Okay, we're ready to move to staff? Okay, starting with staff development. Create incentive-based programs to retain the best of Ypsilanti talent, ingenuity, and work ethic. Implement a compensation study. The goal is to adequately compensate employees and create a wage scale for non-union employees. Fire department professional development specific. Retraining and cross-training of employees. This is general. Employees to be able to cover other employees in case of absences or leave. Establish efficient training procedures and creating instructional cheat sheets for different processes. Next is establish a career path progression plan. The intent is to create a roadmap detailing how specific employees will advance through the company. Provide HR recruiting and selection training. The intent is to equip managers with the proper interviewing skills.
Can I just, sorry, I just want to HR person who was supposed to chime in, like, this is, to me, it wasn't mine, you know, but it's huge because this is where you get sued. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, this is a really important training, and I'm just saying, I think it's really important. My 2 cents on it. Wasn't my one.
Which one?
The
Oh, recruiting and selection? Oh.
Yeah, you know, you do that wrong. That's, well,
Interesting.
but I'm just saying, yeah,
Thanks.
that's a pretty important one. Yeah. That's my 2 cents. It's the HR.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Councilmember Simmons.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next is to reestablish Parks and Rec Department. No additional details there. Specific focus on fire department hiring and retention.
Can I add a comment to the last one? We had this on previous goal setting, 2 years, well, was it 2 years ago now? Right before the pandemic, where we had talked about actually part of us taking, responsibility back with the operations of this building was to feed into reopening of our Parks and Rec department, just to refresh some memories. I think Mr. Brian Chance was the only one not here, so just as a refresher, that was one of the concepts that we were aiming to achieve.
Okay, and finally with development, police department, achieve full staffing with recruiting and retention. Finally, talking about staff impact, develop a DEI plan. Highlight systems and programs that foster fiscal responsibility. Successful administration of both the primary and general election and a May special election if called. This one's pretty extensive. It includes recruiting ample election inspectors, monitoring potential changes to the law, having all polling locations assessed for ADA compliance, hiring part-time staff to ensure that absentee ballots are sent by the statutory date for processing ballots, and thinking about the budget associated with all of those responsibilities. Next, review all current records per the Michigan State Records Retention. The intent is to ensure proper records management, work with city departments to ensure all records are maintained per the schedule, and destroy all records that have elapsed the time of retention. Next is police department specific focus to complete the in-car camera system upgrade. Provide online access for pay stubs and employee forms. The intent is to find software that has online phone access for employee pay stubs. Convert paper documents to electronic copies. Less use of paper, better access to documents. Improve record keeping accessibility of documents. This is related to that previous one. Scan important documents and attach to BSNA software. And then finally, for impact, select a new payroll and system to increase efficiency and reduce costs. That is a summary of the goals. If you can take a minute, make sure that you indicate 15 choices there. And what I will do is I will take this data and compile it and then provide to Mr. Halenga a summary of prioritized goals as well as the details behind those goals for council review.
Just a clarifying two of them. Sorry. Can you just remind me what pilot systems, programs, and foster fiscal responsibility? I just want to make sure I understand that one. Is there any other information? Got that?
There was no additional detail, but with the sponsor of that goal, that was Mr. Martin.
Jennifer, no one can hear your question.
Oh, I just wanted to understand the highlight systems, programs that foster fiscal responsibility. I just wanted a little bit more information on what that was.
It was Councilmember Moore.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, and then, the select review payroll, and I'm guessing there's a blank system, HR system, or?
It's supposed to be a payroll and HRS system.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other questions, I will collect the responses and hand it back to the mayor. Oh, yeah, sure.
I just need a couple more minutes. I wanted to hear all of them, like in the details before I finish my selection.
So council, I have done some Googling and we can get rid of the hum for our next meeting. I think I've diagnosed the problem.
It is really. I have really sensitive.
I can't hear.
No, so honestly, I have really sensitive ears. I just want to.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I stopped it, like,
It's like a high pitch.
Yeah.
That's very.
See, that's like.
Joe, regarding the leather pants on too. Okay. So it's like really, I'm really, yeah.
We have all of them.
I believe you're gonna follow the results then. I think I follow the results and then I will forward it to you for review and distribution.
Thank you.
This was the voting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this met the requirement.
Works for you?
I believe, of the city council. I'll turn this around quickly.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm not thinking. Raise our hands.
So council, the next step, the facilitator will compile those results and provide them to me. However, per the charter, we do have to have the goals approved by this meeting. This would be an interim tacit approval to bring full approval of the analysis of the report following on the 15th. So that would be the next resolution.
Okay, someone has a resolution.
I mean,
You have it.
resolution number 2022-022, approving the 2022 goal sessions interim report. Be it resolved that the city council of the city of Ypsilanti approves a council goals report as instructions for the city manager for this fiscal year. Be it further resolved that the city council directs the city manager to evaluate the report, provide city council a resolution with recommendations for the final report for the February 15th, 2022 city council meeting, and let the rest be read into the record.
There's support. Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Comments? Okay. Seeing none, Mr. Halinga, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Somerville,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Jones Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcoxen.
Yes.
Motion carries with 6 yes and 1 absence.
Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. I believe we have that here.
I do.
Oh, sure.
So resolution number 2022-023, resolved by the council of the city of Ypsilanti that the following items be approved. Resolution number 2022-024, approving the minutes of January 25th, 2022. Resolution number 2022-025, approving appointments to boards and commissions. And resolution number 2022-026, approving stated policy and federal guidelines for the tax board of review and granting or denying an exemption. And I say,
It's been moved and supported. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Somerville,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Judge Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcoxen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
yes.
Motion carries with 6 yes, 1 absence.
Thank you. Anyone has resolution 2022-027?
Yep.
Second, have that, read it, please.
Absolutely. Resolution number, sorry. Resolution number 2022-027, approving the transfer of the options agreement for the proposed 220 North Park development, and let the rest be read into the record.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, comment? Mr. Myers, do you have anything you want to share with us?
This goes along with what I indicated last meeting, that the council had wanted to approve any transfer of the option. If it came up, Renovare Development LLC has created Renovare Ypsilanti Homes LLC for this specific project. And so they would like the options agreement to be put in their name so they can work out all the financing with the bank.
Any questions or comments from council?
Sorry, I don't have any questions. I think.
Say you don't?
No.
Okay. Mr. Malay, would you call the roll?
Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Judge Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcoxen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Somerville.
Yes.
Motion carries 6 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you. Resolution 2022-28.
Resolved by the council of the city of Ypsilanti, whereas 206 to 210 North Washington Street was foreclosed on by Washington County Treasurer for non-payment of property taxes, and whereas the city of Ypsilanti purchased the property using its right of first refusal from the county treasurer in 2019, and whereas the city accepted the proposal from Avalon Housing in September 2020 to create affordable housing in the city of Ypsilanti, and whereas Avalon Housing needs to extend the purchase agreement for 6 months to allow for the application of home and initiative funds. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ypsilanti City Council approves extending the agreement of purchase and sale with Avalon Housing for 206 to 210 North Washington for 6 months pending legal counsel's final review. That's a move.
It's been moved and supported. Question, comments?
Yeah, I remember asking specifically about this when the two applicants came to us about this property. And I asked if how certain they were about their time frame because it seemed very short to me. And if I recall correctly, they did give some assurances that they thought they could get it done in this time. And that did weigh on my decision not to choose the other applicant, thinking that time was, obviously of the essence here. So I am a little bit disappointed in this, although apparently there's not much that can be done, but I just want to put that on the record.
Thank you. Mr. Myers.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to give a tiny bit of explanation on this, what has happened at the state with funding has been a little bit challenging, but not as challenging as this site. And so the site was much worse than anyone had anticipated, where they might actually have to demolish a portion of the building. And so all of those things are happening, and a lot more money is actually freed up, making it much more easy for this to happen. I understand that the 9-month timeline was tight, and they did think they could get it done. However, the agreement did allow for a 6-month extension. So we're not creating a new agreement, we're just, they're triggering the option for the 6-month extension that is allowed to them per the purchase agreement.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Jones Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcoxen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Somerville,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
motion carries with 6 yes, 1 absence.
Okay. Resolution, 2022-029. Process of the council members to request citywide event. Who has that? Okay, would you read it, please?
Yep, so resolution number 2022-029. Resolved by the council of the city of Ypsilanti, whereas the city seeks to establish a process for city council members to organize citywide events in the interest of transparency and equal opportunity. And whereas city council members will have the opportunity to utilize city resources for city events through applications provided by the city manager's office and approved by city council. And whereas any application for citywide event must be received no later than 3 weeks prior to the event to ensure time for council approval. And whereas the application must provide a description of the event, resources requested, date and time of the event, council members involved in the event, and analysis of how the event will benefit the community at large. Now therefore be it resolved that the city council of the city of Ypsilanti approves a stated process to regulate council requested citywide events and direct the city manager to create and make available to council members the application for requests. So moved.
Support.
Shall we let the train roll? Are there any?
Yes, excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request for legislation and resolution was created to formalize a process for city events, city-sponsored events. It came out of a discussion at the last meeting surrounding the Black History program, where we didn't have enough information. We weren't sure what the program would be. So if it's a citywide or city-sponsored event, and staff is going to be required, we thought in order to do it responsibly and to do it orderly, developing a process that was known by everyone and that would give us all the information up front that we needed to make a decision if we wanted to have it as a citywide event or not, or no upfront. And so that's why staff and I created a policy, something that we could go to. It's something that you as council members could have as well to go to when a project or an event is brought to you. There's a way for us to forward our way through it. So this is what we came up with. I think that it's a good process. Looking to hear from council members weighing in on what they think of this policy, if this is something that will work, but this is something that staff and I have agreed that will work for us to make sure our programming is of excellence and that it's in order. So that's pretty much how the policy came by. I'm here to hear, and staff as well, if council has any additions, deletions, questions.
I'm sorry, did you hear that?
I said, I'm here to answer questions if council has any.
Yeah, will there be an opportunity for us to provide comment on the the draft application?
Sure. I can bring it up.
Any other questions or comments?
I was just gonna say the same thing, is be interesting to see, but I think it's a great idea so that, you know, all the required information is available up front so that we know, the details on how it's going to happen. Thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman Somerville.
Yeah, I just want to thank staff for working on this. I especially appreciate the reference to notifying it in advance to be open meeting to follow those guidelines as well. I think that's important.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, city manager, McMullen, thank you very much for putting that together, and it does give us some good direction going forward. Provides us with actually a very streamlined process, so thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank the staff for working along with me on this.
Okay. Thank you, staff, also. Thank you. And Mr. Hadlander, you call the roll, please.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Jones Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcoxen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Somerville,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
motion carries with 6 yes and 1 absence.
Yeah, we'll
I'm trying to terribly.
Resolution 2022 030, approval and request to hold a Black History Month panel. Who has that?
Whereas Mayor Richardson has requested to hold a Black History Month celebration, and whereas the event will be focused on African-American first responders that have served the city of Ypsilanti, and whereas the event will be held on February 25th, 2022, from 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Ypsilanti authorize a panel to be held on the city's Zoom account for Black History, and select Mayor Lois Ellen Richardson to represent City Council on the panel. Be it further resolved that the City Council direct the city manager to advertise the event using the city's social media presence. I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions, discussion, comments? Seeing none, Mr. Hadlander, would you call the roll, please? Yes.
I just have questions. So just to clarify that this event has already gone past what we just established. So we're at the point, this is just for the council and my clarification, we're at the point where we are approving the event. Okay, but the other information I still need is what I'm saying. We're giving you permission to do it, but we don't have any information about the program itself, except that it's a panel. So I just want to make sure we have that understanding, since we are using city resources. We need to know.
Okay, I did, your part of that was very muffled, so I didn't understand all that you were saying.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that we just adopted a policy. And so I wanted to fast forward to say that according to that policy, we've already passed those steps, and now it is before council for approval. Because normally we go through, okay, so I'm saying that even when we pass this, if it passes tonight, that staff still needs to know. Because it's still a city sponsored.
Right. No,
So that's all I was just saying to you, that we still need to know what the program.
You need the
Is-
resources and
right.
everything else that was laid out. before.
Absolutely, everything that was laid out. Thank you.
I had planned to ask for if the applications are already completed and ASAP. Okay? Don't want to go around the plan. Any other questions or comments? We have. Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Langer,
Mr. Jones Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcoxen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Somerville,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
Motion carries with 6 yes and 1 absence.
All right, thank you. For boards and commission nominations, we do have a nomination for a reappointment for Mr. John Chesko to the upper board. And that's it. Mr. Halinga, did you have any council proposed business submitted to you?
No, nothing was submitted. So just so council's aware in the future, if we continue at least this structure, please get those to me if you'd like to make comments during the meeting.
And there was no, no comments submitted from the mayor, I know. City manager, did you have any comments that you submitted?
No,
Okay.
there's no space.
Say what now?
There's no,
No. Okay. All right, thank you. And that's between the two of you. Who wants that one?
resolved by the council of the city of Ypsilanti that the city council meeting be adjourned, called by the mayor or three members of council. Has it always been three? Oh, no, that's okay.
Support.
Me too.
It's been moved and supported. The meeting is adjourned.
Nay.
This is good structure.
Such a